welcome back to another episode of the Wood Couture Podcast. Today, I have the absolute pleasure to welcome to the show a super artist, the one and only Samer Yamani, all the way from Barcelona. Welcome to the show, dear Samer.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure, and I can't wait to ask him questions because my earlier conversation was very inspiring. So let's hear it. But for those friends and colleagues that do not know Samer has worked in more than 40 cities and countries around the world, advising from organization to design studios to art gallery. So a super comprehensive and extensive track record, one to envy. And last but not least, he had the privilege of being what we call design curator and creative director at the Expo 2020. And so a very important role that he will tell us all about, and an incredible journey. So, Samer, we want to hear, first of all, about how did you get where you are right now?
Thank you for this beautiful introduction, actually. Things happen, I think, organically. You don't plan. In my case, I don't plan what could be, what's happening. It's simply to be in the right time and doing the right thing, which is, in my case, following my passion. I'm a very passionate person in all what it comes to design. Lately, I think, since I was so young, I born in Latin America, then they brought me to Damascus. So I become like an observer to understand what's happening, because this drastic change requires really that you open your eyes and to understand what's happening. Sometimes there is a language barrier, sometimes there is a culture barrier. So eyes and observation become your tool to understand what's happening. And that was my tool, actually, when I was a young kid of 10 years old, just moving from one country to other, from one culture to other. And I become like a good observer of all details in order to understand what's happening around. And apparently this skill become like more, let's say, more effective in spotting what is the special of a space. It might be an eye of a storyteller, because I follow this detail and I dig deep to understand it better, and I become more interested in the special things in spaces rather than the common things. And here I think to create special things for special place, it's become more like, now I understand that this is what we call bespoke design for something. And if you want to tell it in a context, maybe this is what we call it now, to curate a story that can be told through design. So I simply followed my passion and studied design. I was so lucky to study design in Madrid and Barcelona, amazing cities for this, and I lived 20 years in Spain. Imagine how multicultural is that trip, to come from the Middle East, from the core of the civilization, in this case Damascus, and all this beauty and all these craft stories and all these stories coming from that part, and then to merge it with the very special, I would say, European, language, in this case the Spanish one, that already is a mix of cultures. So that is how I end up doing what I'm doing. Basically, I'm a curator for design, specialized in crafts and bespoke collectible designs. Very interested in the stories behind the things. Any country that I move to work with, I need to understand it. And this is why you said I worked in 40 countries, because I was follow also the passion and the route to understand more and more.
You are the curator of this also Menasa.
Well, actually, that was really an interesting project that we just finished. As you know, Expo 2020 Dubai was the biggest platform that any designer or creative in general can ever dream to present his work and our work. I was so privileged when I get contacted by Expo 2020 Dubai to develop content for the design and craft program. So design and craft program at Expo actually goes under arts and culture, where there are three main pillars: the visual arts, the music, and the design and crafts. So I was the director of that design and craft program, and we developed the content for this program. The content was to create the first ever collective voice of the design and the craft scene in the UAE, because our visitors at Expo really want to understand the state of art of design and craft after 50 years of the age of this young and ambitious country. Minasa was that platform. It's the biggest platform ever happened, where you can see the work of over 40 designers and hundreds of artisans working and presenting and communicating values and stories from the UAE through contemporary design. So a visitor will see works from Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Dubai, Ras Al Khaimah, all in one platform. And that was very important. Adding to that, obviously, the privileged space that we took at Expo, which is under Al Wasl Dome, presenting Minasa as the biggest design gallery with bespoke, exclusive design works from over 40 designers, internationally, obviously, and locals.
I know that obviously you travel to all these countries, you know, and you are a supporter of, as you say earlier, storytelling. And even your company, you founded many years ago, is called the Creative Dialogue. So it's a question of, engaging and in conversations. And you've seen luxury hotel all over the world, and you were describing me earlier a very interesting one, which is totally unique. But let's talk about our environment in here. You have views on luxury hotels. Tell us a bit more about that.
I think the definition of luxury actually is changing. And like everything else, actually, even the definition of let's say, how you enjoy your time. The experience that you are expecting to have in the hotel is different, because the user has now different habits and different system and different way to enjoy his time. So I don't belong to the hospitality industry, but I work closely with all these designers and curators and companies who would like actually to put design, which is a crucial element and component of the luxury hospitality. I think the values of, or the definition of luxury is now very clear, the new luxury, more sustainability become more luxurious than less sustainable. More green become more luxurious, more bio, more local, more crafted, more bespoke versus more brand. So I don't want to see the same brand that I see in every hotel here or in Saudi Arabia. When I go there, I want to see what Saudi Arabia has. Not only me, you as a visitor, she as a visitor from different countries, we already saw all these brands all over the world. But what a good surprise if I find a bespoke design piece is done by local people, where the 0 kilometer concept is applied, because that was actually sourced from these artisans who are living in this community. So staying here, you are supporting that. This is the new luxury. I think the definition of how we enjoy tourism also has changed, especially after the pandemic. Now, maybe because it's like a post-pandemic era, so people are trying to revenge of that time that we couldn't fly, but very soon that will be stable. And you can see perfectly from the trips, where are the destinations, what are the people looking to do. So many people change their habits. It means if I change my habits at my home, I would like to have these habits when I travel. So are the luxury industry or are the hospitality industry aware about the new habits of the users, aware about their concerns, aware about their green, let's say, commitments? I think that will definitely add a different angle of the design. And they will need they will need at the end good storytellers and good curators to work with the designers in order to convey this new, let's say, definition of luxury and these new experiences through design, through experiences, through materials, through compromise. And it's important actually to embrace the notion of the new luxury in this region, where it was badly, I think, promoted, which is the shiniest, the biggest, the tallest, the most bling bling. And this region has amazing content to share, amazing exclusive feeling / story to tell. So I think that will definitely should be reflected in the hospitality industry in general and in the luxurious hotels more and more.
So the question I have is, because you speak very passionate about this, in your career, which is the project that you said I'm the most proud that encompasses all this?
I know that it's very cliche maybe to answer that, but you said I'm really driven by passion. If I don't like it, I will never do it. So a small piece could be very passionate. I work a lot, for example, in Murano. So beautiful collections of perfume bottles that we did inspired from flowers from the deserts of Sharjah for an Emirati designer, Hind Al-Qasimi, was one of the very passionate projects because I had to know all these flowers. I went with her to the desert and we spent hours finding these flowers, working with them, trying to find a story to tell. And it's something small like this. And then you go to do maybe Minassa, the biggest design gallery here, or I was working also with very established design brands like BD Barcelona Design, presenting their first ever art design collection, totally designs, but 5 designers from the region. They never had this experience before. So it's not about how big or how small the project to be proud. It's simply, am I doing it with passion? Am I really following my understanding and trying to push the boundaries? With a project we did, for example, for Irthi, the Contemporary Craft Council in Sharjah, we pushed the boundaries of what is the perception of Emirati craft? How do you perceive it? And the end result actually was presented at London Design Festival as an invited country. It is all over the world in all the press because of the fresh and special message that it's giving about a very primitive craft in this region that have never been presented this way.
So it's interesting because I see a lot of art, a lot of people that, a lot of art galleries in here that have got art from all over the world. But I don't see Islamic art a lot. Do you think there's the need for Islamic art actually to go out to the region, to go in, New York, Barcelona, and show the world the value that eventually will enhance the local crafts and say, hey, like your Sharjah flowers. Why not take your Sharjah flowers and bring it in another country and say, hey, this is a craft from...
I don't work in art, I work in design, but I can say that Jeddah just announced that it will be the home of the first Islamic Art Biennale that's going to happen next December, hopefully, or early Jan. So, and there's so many initiatives actually around art. I really prefer not to discuss how the art and Islamic art is, but yes, there is as I said, we need to embrace this notion of how to promote our culture. Also, the definition of each time the definition or the differentiation between design and art is getting less, especially with the bespoke collections, because it's becoming like an art piece. The figure of the designer maker is more dominant now. The difference between artist and designer, where that the artist is maker. He's making his art while the designer is working in the office and sending to machines. Now designer maker become more dominant as a player in the scene. And somehow this debate about design versus art versus design is somehow diluting the boundaries. And for us as curators and creative directors, this is fantastic because you can always bring things from this side to that side and create that dialogue. So I think very soon, especially with all these amazing efforts that Saudi Arabia is doing in promoting and building the infrastructure for really a new era for the design and art in general, obviously with all what the UAE and Qatar and other countries in the Gulf region, I'm talking about the Gulf region, did. Very soon we're going to see all that flourishing, more content, more, let's say, more solid content that can really more and more flies and present itself abroad, especially with the new understanding, which is already happening through, if you go to any biennale around the world, we are all presented there. But it's going to be more and more. It's just the beginning, hopefully.
Do you think that with this, rapid growth of the, say, technology, now they're talking Metaverse, NFTs, and they're targeting the artwork, so the design. So now everything has to go digital. Do you think that's a threat for a curator?
No, because again, the DNA of the industry is still the same. We need to tell something. I think it's a new let's say new form of work. It's becoming more challenging for us because once you feel that, okay, I am good in my industry, I perfectly know there's something new happening, so you need to learn, you need to get expert in this, which is a continuous learning project process that I like. Yet, I think now, especially with, this week, so many crashes in NFTs and crypto, it's not the best week to talk about that. But that will be very healthy because I think that will stabilize a little bit the process. Mm-hmm. And at the end, we are talking about the same industry. I think it's exciting time because a lot of people who had no access before to things can have access. So again, this changing in the paradigm of production in all senses will definitely lead to different territory that we as curator need to work to understand perfectly so we can cater the needs of our clients, whether private or public sector, in order to be able to operate in these new territories.
As a creative director and as a curator, is what really your challenges right now of this profession?
I consider myself a very lucky guy because I always work with organizations that they do respect / understand / want / support what we do. So I can say I suffered from my clients working with them. Yet, yes, there is a lack of understanding of the importance of that. There is a lack of let's say, investing maybe in these things. We are very lucky to live in the UAE and in the region with all these political will to develop local culture and local content. You can see it from the fantastic infrastructure that we have in this region. Other challenge might be, in my case, I think all these regions that are under conflict and all these craftsmen and women who become refugees. So they are leaving their crafts, they are leaving their territories, and we might lose these crafts. So I would like also to use your platform to launch this, let's say, dream call, whatever you want to call it, to support these people who are forcibly or need to leave their places, so they are losing their traditions and their crafts. So I think this is another challenge in my case as curator and the creative director.
Yeah, you talked earlier about these changes of luxury and more in touch with the natural thing, the 0 kilometers and that. In terms of when we're talking about sustainability in general, do you think that the industry is doing enough to address this issue?
I don't know how I just don't want to repeat what we hear in congresses and stuff. I just really want to be very, let's say, real in that sense. Is it possible to do more now? Is it possible really to apply the 0 kilometer if we want to do a hotel here in Dubai? Let's be realistic. So it's good that we have it on the table. It's good that we have an agenda. I think the maximum we are committed to this is the best thing we can do now. But drastic changes in the way that we only want to do it here, it's not going to work because there are some huge gaps that you need to work on it in order to be able to say, I've been working with more awareness about my sustainability agenda. Yet to have the agenda on the table, to have it as a goal, to work on it in Expo, for example, we managed to do that fantastically in so many things related to packaging, related to materials. So yes, it's possible, not 100%, but we still need to work more and more to be able to facilitate the tools for whoever would like really to work in that frame, to have the needed tools. Otherwise, we have some missing tools and we are not able to do it in a proper way.
Right. So looking forward 5 years, what do you have in your mind? What's in your bucket list of things you want to do?
I don't know if we have the time for all this, but I want to work more in exploring local crafts, especially in the Gulf context, the Saudi context as well, to present it in a very really a way that really conveys who we are and what we are doing, from stories, from materials, from way of our living. I think this is the mission that I would like to explore more and more, and definitely to see the outcome of this more integrated in other projects, rather in hospitality projects, for example, or in maybe airports or museums, or to have it really more present. Let me tell you something. If you go to any house of our houses in this region, you will see the Iranian and the Persian rugs. You will see the Murano glass. You will see the Limor. You will see maybe the Syrian mother pearl. But where is the local craft? You wouldn't see any piece there from their crafts. So there's a gap. I think I would like to see after 5 years, as much as possible, we have in our houses, rather Syria, Spain, or Italy, how we have our craft presented in our houses, in our hospitality hotels or restaurants or airports. So I think there is a huge way to huge opportunity, let's call it this way, to spread the word about the local crafts and design in general, and to get it more integrated in the day-to-day life, because design needs craft in this region to be more local, as well craft needs design in this region to get more opportunities and territories in today's life.
Obviously, you're very attached to this region, and you cover a very important role with the Expo. But earlier and during the conversation today, you mentioned Saudi Arabia quite a few times.
Yeah.
And I mean, under this concept of local craft, how big is the opportunity in Saudi Arabia to get this right and do it in the right way?
It's a hidden treasure, Saudi Arabia. And being Muslim and Arab, I think I'm enjoying double than like any others, because I understand what these people are saying. And my family name is Yamani, which is a Saudi family originally from Yemen. So I do belong culturally, emotionally, despite from where I born and where I lived. I see myself in that. And I think I still have that kid inside me. When I see something like new, my eyes, like I enjoy what I see. And every time I go to Saudi Arabia, especially different cities, I discover different things. I think I'm simply enjoying that. And we are very lucky that we witnessed that shift in the way they are working, that's willing, rather politically or even culturally, to push the Saudi content in a different way and to present it in a different way. I think any curator in the world would be very passionate to discover new territories, because let's be very frank, practically everything is presented around the world, especially in our regions, no? Europe. So when you have something as big as Saudi Arabia, as diverse as Saudi Arabia, as potential and with the clear vision to develop it, I think it's very appealing and attractive to anybody to work with. So imagine for somebody who works in local craft and content and storytelling, like in my case, I'm so excited about so many things happening there.
Wow, it's interesting. I'm always, you read the news and trade magazines that talk about design.
Mm-hmm.
And they always try to bring international designers, from architects to interior designers to any kind of, let's say, categories, to work like in Saudi, but I see very little about getting local designers involved in creating their own countries. And it's the same everywhere. It's not just the case of Saudi Arabia. For some reason, when there is a country that want to launch a new city or want to do, like Cairo, the new capital, they always bring international architecture firm, international design firm, everything international. But why not giving the local, firms a lead and say, okay, let's go and try to build ourselves and design ourselves, because we know the story better than anybody else.
I don't know the answer of that. Obviously, it's something that I notice as well, and I observe. And in my work, I try to avoid. I work with local alongside internationals. As you said, my company name is Creative Dialogue. So always all my content is going around this dialogue. So it's a win-win relation. It's a knowledge transfer. You as international designer might have the privilege that you work with several countries before, so you have the know-how. But also me as local, I have the local know-how. So I think maybe the solution for now is to have these dialogue between the two partners in this case, which I do in all my projects. In Minassa, the collections before, the projects I'm working with now is all around this idea, no? How do we create a dialogue, how we can convey and exchange knowledge. I actually don't know that why it's happening this way, and I don't think it's badly done. I think it can be improved if there is more dialogue with local content and providers of local content. But also it's good when we work in a global, world. So we need that dialogue. Maybe we should put the accent in the correct way, how to make it like more special, but doesn't mean that it should be one or the other. It could be together, but through a different maybe level of conversation and exchange. I don't know if I answer your question.
No, it's very clear, and you are right. It's not a question of right or wrong. It's perhaps the way the two can work together, But it's interesting for me from an outsider point of view, not being a designer, but I've witnessed a lot of countries, that launch initiatives, whether it's in large scale or small scale, and tend always to highlight, that architecture firm from that country is involved in here, because it's like co-branding, For me, I see a lot of talent locally. I went to King Abdulaziz University in Jeddah, or the Faculty of Interior Architecture. And wow, the beauty is 99% of the students of that faculty is female. So they got great women empowerment and great talent. I saw some design project of any kind of shape. I was like, wow. And we working on a lot of the hotels around the world, but I saw real talent from students. So, and I'm always wondering, they've got very young, fresh minds. Why not let them express themselves, and say, hey, let them create their own country. And it just for that. So we're coming to an end of our conversation. I can stay here forever listening to you, but so like everybody that comes to the Wood Couture Podcast, there is a magic question. And so if I take a massive, giant white canvas and put it on top of the Burj Khalifa so everybody can see it, what message would you write on there?
I didn't know this question. Wait. You mean for the design world or in general?
For you, a message to the world. It's the tallest building on the planet. So, it's, when you have a white canvas that can be seen from everybody.
I would say, if a word I should write it there, I think compassion. I think we all need more compassion in life. Our planet needs more, our designers, our business. I think, in my case, the pandemic changed me drastically in the way that I think. And I see that we've been running like crazy all over the place, but things can be done a different way. So I would write now the first word that comes to me, compassion. A lot of disasters happening around the world, a lot of war, stupid things happening, killing innocent people or killing innocent trees or rivers. Compassion with industry, compassion with ourselves, with life. This is a very maybe personal message that I would like to convey, but I think it has an application of every single topic that we discussed today.
No, it's very interesting, your question, because compassion and empathy is two kind of things that cannot be installed into a robot.
Yeah.
and so it's a great message for also the people that are developing this kind of technology, that these two elements will always be missing from machines.
What was that? What was the answer of other people? What was the word? Just out of curiosity.
Be kind. Do something outrageous.
You see.
Yeah,
it works around like the same.
It's more or less is kiss the future. There was everybody has a special message.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because everybody, whether it's because of the changes through the pandemic or whether it's the stage in their life, there is something very personal and very
human.
They talk about very human about something, so it's incredible. But
so it says every time you have the mic to say something to the world, you put your human hat.
A lot the messages that come out of people is very human centric.
Yeah.
It's not to make a fun, make a joke, or everybody will laugh. It's a very kind-hearted, it's a message to the world and
to other humans.
Because we need to have compassion for our planet too.
Totally.
Dear Samer, thank you very much.
Grazie mille.
Muchas gracias.